What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and today we're diving into a topic that might save you some serious headaches and possibly even keep you safer. As someone who's been testing and reviewing firearms for years, I've come across my fair share of guns that look great on paper but fall apart, sometimes literally, in real life. Whether it's unreliable mechanics, impractical designs, or just plain awkwardness, there are certain handguns I would never recommend for daily carry. Choosing a firearm for self-defense or concealed carry is a big decision. You want something reliable, easy to use, and most importantly, dependable when it counts. A gun that jams, has a poor trigger, or is difficult to control can be more of a liability than an asset. With all the options out there, it's easy to fall into the trap of picking up a gun that seems like a bargain or has a flashy design but doesn't live up to the hype. So, in this video, I'll share my personal do not carry list. From frustrating jams to triggers that feel like pulling through cement, these are the guns that have left me shaking my head. Don't worry, it's not all bad news. For every gun on this list, I'll point you toward a better option in the same price range, so you can steer clear of these duds and find something that's actually worth carrying. Let's jump in. 1. Altor Pistol. The Altor Pistol is one of the most unusual and frankly impractical handguns I've ever had the misfortune to use. This single-shot 9mm pistol might be compact, but that's about the only thing going for it. To load it, you unscrew the entire barrel, place the round directly in the chamber, and screw it back together. There's no standard trigger either. Instead, you pull down a lever that flicks up with enough force to send the gun flying out of your hands if you're not careful. The lack of a traditional trigger mechanism makes it hard to aim accurately, and the recoil is far harsher than it should be for such a small caliber due to its minimalist design. Reliability is another major issue, because the pistol is made with inexpensive materials and has a loose construction. You're left wondering if it will even fire or if it might just fall apart in your hands. With a price tag under $100, I can see why some might consider it as a just-in-case option. But trust me, you're better off with just about anything else. This pistol is closer to a novelty item than a serious self-defense tool. In a life-threatening situation, I'd rather have a knife or even a heavy flashlight over the Altor. A weapon should inspire confidence, but with the Altor, you'll be left hoping it doesn't fall apart before you can even take a shot. 2. Intratec TEC-22. The Intratec TEC-22, also known as the Scorpion, might look like a cool piece of gear, but when it comes to function, it's a disaster. This semi-automatic pistol, modeled after the iconic TEC-9, is chambered in 22 LR, which is already a questionable choice for self-defense. To make matters worse, it's plagued with reliability issues. This gun jams so often that you'll end up treating it like a single shot, manually cycling each round to get it to feed properly. It lacks a feed ramp, so it basically relies on gravity and luck to chamber a round, and that's a gamble I'm not willing to take. One major flaw is its cheap, stamped metal construction, which makes it feel flimsy and unbalanced in hand. The TEC-22 comes with an impressive-looking 30-round magazine, but when the gun only fires reliably about one shot at a time, that's hardly an advantage. As far as self-defense goes, the 22 LR caliber is already on the low end of effectiveness, and pairing it with an unreliable, clunky gun like the TEC-22 just makes matters worse. Sure, it has a certain bad guy aesthetic, but if you want something with similar looks and far better reliability, there are countless options. In short, the TEC-22 might be a conversation starter, but it's no self-defense tool. 3. Thunderstruck S333 Volley Fire. The Thunderstruck S333 Volley Fire might be one of the most perplexing guns on this list. The design concept, firing 2 rounds of 22 Magnum at once, might sound innovative, but in practice, it's more problematic than practical. The gun's dual-barrel system forces you to pull a bizarre, heavy trigger that's one of the most awkward and uncomfortable I've ever used. Instead of a standard single or double-action trigger, you're pulling on a unique setup that places enormous strain on your finger, making accurate shots nearly impossible. What's worse is that the recoil from firing 2 rounds at once in this small frame is intense, leading to reduced control and accuracy. The Thunderstruck's lack of traditional sights adds another level of frustration. You're essentially pointing and hoping for the best. It's marketed as a self-defense weapon, but I wouldn't trust it in any serious situation. Misfires and malfunctions are all too common with this model, and the 22 Magnum rounds, while speedy, are still on the weaker end of self-defense ammunition. Overall, the Thunderstruck S333 feels like a novelty gun that's more for show than for real-world protection. The dual-barrel idea might have seemed inventive on paper, but in reality it results in a gun that's hard to handle, unreliable, and unsuitable for anything beyond a conversation piece. If you're serious about self-defense, you'll want to pass on this one. 4. Gerson 2311. I had high hopes for the Gerson 2311, especially since I'm a fan of 1911 style pistols. The idea of a double-stack 9mm at a reasonable price was appealing, and I thought I was getting a solid option that might offer the classic 1911 feel with modern capacity. However, the reality was a complete letdown. Despite being priced around $700, the Gerson 2311 felt every bit like a budget gun in all the worst ways. My experience with it was riddled with malfunctions, everything from failures to feed and extract to loose components that couldn't stay in place. One of the biggest disappointments was the trigger, which felt like an 8-pound rock. The main appeal of a 1911 style pistol is usually its smooth, crisp single-action trigger, but with the Gerson it just felt heavy and clunky, completely defeating the purpose. Additionally, the magazine catch is made from low-quality material, causing the magazines to fall out mid-shooting. The recoil was harsher than expected, partly due to purse-springing, making it uncomfortable and hard to control during extended sessions. The 2311 was unreliable, and the ejection pattern was all over the place. I've never had a gun spit brass directly back at my face like this. You'd be much better off spending your $700 on a more reliable option like the Live-Free Armory Apollo or even an FN model. This gun is a hard pass for me if you're looking for something trustworthy to carry. 5. Bond Arms Honeybee. The Bond Arms Honeybee is a Derringer-style pistol, and while it may bring a bit of Old West nostalgia, it has no place as a modern carry gun. Chambered in 22 LR, the Honeybee is nearly the size and weight of a Glock 26, yet it only offers 2 shots, which is laughable for a gun of this size. Instead of getting a reliable, compact firearm with decent capacity, you're left with a bulky 2-shot gun that's difficult to operate effectively in a stressful situation. Reloading it feels like an old-fashioned ritual, and the process is neither quick nor easy. The design of the Honeybee doesn't help either. It has a single-action setup, meaning you have to cock the hammer for each shot. Add to this a poorly designed sight, essentially just a single, oversized post on the front, and you're left with something that's far from accurate or effective. The 22 LR caliber, while inexpensive, doesn't pack the stopping power needed for self-defense. Even worse, the recoil from such a small gun can feel unmanageable, making it harder to control than other pistols of similar size. If you're considering a compact gun, skip the nostalgia and opt for something like the Ruger LCP or even a small 9mm. The Honeybee might be fun for a collection, but it's utterly impractical as a carry option. 6. Taurus PT-22. The Taurus PT-22 has made a name for itself as one of the least reliable handguns in its category, and for good reason. Marketed as an affordable alternative to the Beretta Tomcat, the PT-22 falls drastically short of expectations. Although it features the unique tip-up barrel design intended for easy loading, it's riddled with issues that make it nearly impossible to rely on. The metal construction is low quality, and the gun often feels as if it's made from recycled beer cans rather than durable steel. In my experience, the PT-22 jammed and malfunctioned constantly. It's also challenging to load due to the finicky barrel design. Taurus aimed to make this gun user-friendly for those with limited hand strength, but they missed the mark entirely. Rather than being convenient, the tip-up barrel and overall build make it more of a headache. It holds only 8 rounds of 22 LR, a weak caliber for self-defense, so you're left with limited firepower even if it does manage to shoot. To make matters worse, the PT-22's trigger is long and heavy, which can be frustrating and fatiguing. The controls are poorly placed and difficult to operate, making the PT-22 a gun I wouldn't trust for personal safety. You're better off investing in a reliable small-frame gun like the Beretta Tomcat or a Ruger LCP in 380, which offers far more reliability in a similarly sized package. 7. Braverman Pen Gun. The Braverman Pen Gun is one of those firearms that catches your eye immediately. It's essentially a pen-sized single-shot pistol, and that alone gives it a cool factor. It's something you might see in a spy movie or imagine James Bond carrying, but don't let the novelty fool you. As far as practicality goes, this gun falls short in almost every way that counts for self-defense. It's chambered in small calibers like 22, 25, and 32 ACP, none of which are ideal for self-defense. And it's notoriously difficult to handle. To fire it, you have to twist it open, pull the barrel out, load around, twist it back, and hope you can line it up accurately in a crisis. Beyond the loading inconvenience, the Braverman Pen Gun's accuracy and power are dismal. I tested it at about 15 yards and was lucky to hit my target once out of several attempts, making it nearly useless for defense beyond close range. And while it's a unique collector's item, Relying on it in a real defensive scenario would be a mistake. If you're looking for an everyday carry gun, almost anything else will be more effective and user-friendly. Stick with a reliable, purpose-built firearm that's tested for accuracy and ease of use, like a Ruger LCP or a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard, rather than this impractical novelty. 8. Smith & Wesson CSX. When I first heard about the Smith & Wesson CSX, I was genuinely excited. This compact, single-action 9mm had the potential to offer the best of both worlds, the lightweight build of modern polymer pistols combined with the smooth trigger pull of a classic 1911. But after testing it, my hopes faded quickly. While the idea of a single-action concealed carry gun sounds great, the CSX has an unusually stiff, clunky trigger that disrupts its accuracy and responsiveness, especially in rapid-fire scenarios. And with its manual safety, which isn't the most intuitive to disengage, you'll find yourself fumbling when you need speed the most. One of the biggest letdowns of the CSX is its lack of reliability. I've encountered multiple jams and failures to fire with this gun, which makes it a poor choice for anyone who needs a reliable, ready-to-fire sidearm. Considering Smith & Wesson's other offerings like the MMP Shield, which is one of my go-to recommendations for concealed carry, the CSX feels like a swing and a miss. For the same price, you could get a Shield Plus Performance Center or even a Glock 43, both of which are far more reliable options for daily carry. The CSX is a classic example of a gun with potential that just doesn't deliver where it counts. 9. SCCY CPX-2. The SCCY CPX-2 is an entry-level pistol that often attracts buyers because of its low price point, but unfortunately you get what you pay for with this one. While affordability is a plus, everything else about this gun screams budget quality. The CPX-2 has one of the longest, grittiest trigger pulls I've ever encountered, making it difficult to fire accurately or rapidly. On top of that, I had a consistent issue with gas blowback every time I pulled the trigger, something you definitely don't want happening in a defensive situation. In terms of reliability, the CPX-2 left a lot to be desired. I experienced a frustrating number of jams and malfunctions during testing. Add to that the fact that it's one of the least accurate guns I've shot, and it's hard to see why anyone would choose this for daily carry. While it's tempting to pick up a pistol at the $250 price range, there are better options out there that are worth the extra investment, such as the Taurus G3C. The G3C is affordable yet much more reliable with a smoother trigger and far fewer malfunctions. If you're on a tight budget, avoid the SCCY CX-2, it's just not worth the hassle or the risk in a real-life situation. 10. Remington RP9. The Remington RP9 had high expectations when it was released, especially since Remington is known for its iconic rifles and shotguns. However, when it comes to handguns, the RP9 falls disappointingly short. This full-size 9mm feels bulky and unwieldy, especially considering it's marketed as a potential carry option, despite its 18-round capacity. The RP9 struggles with reliability and often fails to feed properly. Accuracy was also subpar, with a heavy trigger that made it challenging to keep consistent groupings on target. Another major issue with the RP9 is its competitive market position. For the same price or a little more, you can get your hands on something like a Canik TP9 series or an IWI Masada, both of which outperform the RP9 in every category from accuracy to ease of use. Personally, I would much rather rely on a Glock or Smith & Wesson M&P for full-sized carry. Both brands offer greater reliability, a more comfortable fit, and consistent performance. Unless you're specifically looking for malfunction clearance practice, the RP9 is one to skip. Remington may have hit the mark with other firearms, but this pistol misses it entirely. And there you have it, my list of handguns that, in my experience, fall far short of being reliable carry options. Whether it's poor design, constant malfunctions, or just plain bad execution, these guns are more likely to let you down than protect you when it matters. When it comes to choosing a carry gun, reliability, ease of use, and durability should always come first. Thankfully, there are plenty of solid, affordable alternatives out there that won't leave you frustrated or unsafe. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you had a different experience with any of these guns? Or maybe there's another you think deserves a spot on this list. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your input helps others in our community make better choices, too. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on the latest reviews and advice. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.